This video is brought to you by YTAndrewPaul Tech Repairs. If you have a console, laptop, computer or Macbook in need of repair in the UK or the EU, then have a look in the description below this video for details on how to contact us in order to organise your repair. Hello there ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to today's video, and welcome back to the channel. It's been quite a while. I think the last video we had here was October. I think it was the PS5 watch along, I think, from the teardown that Sony released. There's a lot happened since then. I have moved house. I've moved out of my old office. So I'm now having to work in a spare room at home, which isn't the best. It's really small, it's really cramped, it's garishly decorated as a children's bedroom. It isn't a children's bedroom, it's a spare room in the house, but for the minute it's what I'm just having to make do with, because obviously with COVID and everything I can't find myself a new office space because, well, nowhere's really open. It's just been a bit of a nightmare, to be honest with you. Trying to get work done and things in amongst trying to sort everything out has been a nightmare. Obviously I'm still working a full-time job, so this is still very much a side hustle for me. And then of course, what with being locked down as we are here in the UK, and we have been for a long time now, and we can't go anywhere, we can't do anything, so stuck working from home on an evening. I'm doing a few of these. You can't get away from it. You know, before it was okay because you know, you could at least go away somewhere. You could go for, you know, go at the football on a weekend. You could go for a wander around the seaside. You could do whatever you wanted. Now you can't do anything, and it's just finding it really difficult actually, to sort of like motivate myself to do anything at the moment. So obviously the videos have more or less stopped in that meantime because I can't motivate myself to do it. But I'm kind of trying to make myself do it because obviously, you know, I've noticed the channel's getting quieter. That's not what I want. I still want to bring you guys content, so you know, it's never been a full-on flood. There's always been sort of fits and starts, but it's kind of got worse, definitely, and I want to sort of stop that. So obviously I still have customer boxes here which are being worked through. As I say, it is awkward because of the workspace and everything else. It's not ideal for doing anything in. It's really small, it's really tiny, it's really cramped. It's not a pleasant place to be at the moment. So I am sort of struggling to get through things. So if you do have things here with me at the moment and you're watching this, then I apologise if it's taking slightly longer than it would normally do to get things to you. Likewise getting back because, like I say, my daughter started school in December. She's not taken too kindly to it. She's struggling a bit with it. As I say, still working full time from home and things. It's just a bit of a nightmare. So if you are waiting on something from me, or you've sent me an email or whatever, and you're waiting a response, then just bear with me. I am sort of working through things where I can. I do miss things. I still get an awful lot of messages, emails, and things like that. Things tend to get buried. I am going to try and rationalise the methods by which people can get through to me. I'm going to prefer email, I think. So Twitter inboxes and things are probably going to close. So what I'll do is I'll probably put a tweet out from there and messages out on my Facebook group with my alternate contact details going forward, and then at least I've only got to monitor the one sort of source of things and try and filter it out, and hopefully that's going to improve that a little bit. Yes, so for today we're going to take a look at this Xbox One S HDMI port. This has been sent in from another shop, which, as you can see, has been absolutely royally butchered. It doesn't look particularly nice, does it? So we're gonna repair this, and we'll show you how we can go about it. Now, as you can see, there are a few pads left in the board. I think most of them are loose. I think most of them are wiggling around in the wind. So let's just take a look and see what we can do. So as I say, this is a little bit awkward because the workspace is tight. I've got a heat mat under here these days to try and protect the table, but it's absolutely awful. It's supposed to be heat resistant, but it isn't. So it kind of bubbles up and does all sorts of frigging horrible weird stuff. I'm going to have to try and find a better one at some point. So if the camera moves around, it goes out of focus. I will try my best to sort of like make this as watchable for you as I can. But it is awkward to sort of work around. There's leads to the soldering irons are all crossed over because there's not much space to put them on the desk. It's just not a very nice environment to be doing any kind of work in. So what we're going to do at the moment is we're just going to try and clean off these pads. Now, as I say, I'm sure that most of these are probably a little bit loose. So yeah, you can see they're hanging off. So what I'm doing is I'm just kind of stroking down. I'm not going across because obviously if I go across, it's going to pull them side to side. You can see there's one that is kind of kinked over. So I'm just going to try and sort of keep these as straight as I can as I clean them off of the old solder, just so I don't kink them any more than they already are. I'm not putting a lot of pressure on because again, if we put a lot of pressure on them, what's going to happen is they're going to break off. And I'm already going to have to do quite a bit of rebuilding on this. I don't really want to do any more than I have to. So we'll take a look and see what we have. It doesn't have to be perfect, it just needs to be good enough at this stage. So we've put some flux down on there. That's the stuff that was in the syringe. Effectively that just helps the solder to flow. So we can see there's two there that are connected. We'll have a look at those in a minute. That one is, yeah, that was knackered. So take that off. The rest seem okay-ish. What will happen is the flux will actually, you see it's kind of liquid, but it's tacky. So what it'll do is it'll kind of glue these in place, sort of, at least till we can get the new port in place. So I'm just going to try and move this one here. So this one effectively soldered to the one next door to it. So I'm just going to stroke it a little bit with the iron just until we can move it. There we go. So we can see there, look, that the end of the trace is there. That's where it should be. It seems like it's broken at the moment, but we'll see if we can't do something with that before we finished. So we can see there, look, that we have our lines as they are at the moment cleared off. We've got like the tab end of this one here. Whether that's long enough to do anything with, we'll see when we get the port on. So let's take a look and see what we've got missing. So these are the TMDS lines here going left to right. So the TMDS lines are the signal lines, effectively, that the picture information comes down, and the command and control sort of side of things, CEC, 5 volts and all that sort of stuff lives over here. Okay, so let's take a look and see what we've got here. So we can see here pin 1 to pin 19. So pin 1 is missing. Pin 2 is ground, but is present and connected over here via the via at the back. Pin 3 is broken, so you can see the trace there, but it's moving around. Pin 4 is signal, and that is present. However, you can see the trace is down here. This little silver bit should go up here, so that's broken. Pin 5 is there, is ground, is connected. Pin 6 is signal. Pin 7 is signal. Pin 6 itself actually looks broken as well. Should be able to join it though. Pin 7 is signal and looks to be connected and present and correct. Pin 8 is ground. Pin 9 is here, signal. You can see the trace for that's wiggling around down here. Pin 10 is signal. You can see again the trace is here. It's brown, it's missing. Pin 11 is ground and connected at the top. Pin 12 is signal here and is missing. Pin 13 is missing, 14 is not used, 15, 16 are missing, 17 is missing and is ground anyway, so we don't need that. Pin 18 is missing, but there is sort of like the stub end of the tab there, whether that's long enough to get the pin onto or not, I don't know. And pin 19 is also missing. So this is not going to be too clever. So let's say we can recover the broken ones. We've still got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 pins to rebuild on this damn board. When I looked at this the other day, and it was a really quick sort of cursory glance, it didn't look too bad, sort of thing, but it turns out that it is a bit of a nightmare. So what I'm going to do is I am just going to sort of put a little bit of IPA, isopropyl alcohol, in here. This is a solvent, it has to clean the board. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to rub it around the base here, so where the traces and things run, because we're going to need to scrape some copper back so we can start to rebuild this thing. So how successful this is going to be, I don't know. This is a lot of work. Normally I would sort of reject things like this. This is not the kind of level of rebuild I would do normally, because I don't really have the time to do it. I've promised this guy that I would do it, so you know, I will do it on this occasion. But normally this sort of thing, this is something I used to do a lot of, but I haven't got the patience for it anymore, I'm going to be honest. I have devised something which will be available shortly for the PS4s, which will help with this sort of damage, and does make my life a hell of a lot easier when dealing with things like that. I don't often get a lot of call for broken Xbox boards and things like that in this sort of manner. I do get them, but I don't really get too many of them. But I think this may be something that I have to sort of address going forwards, because it's a bit of a nightmare. Okay, I think, to be honest, I should be able to do something with that. Pin there's already exposed. This one here, just going to strip a little bit of that. That one again, should be able to do something with. That one's fine, that one's okay. So again, oh, no, look. This is quite a weak board, I'll be honest. Normally the tracers don't sort of wiggle around. Once you break them, they actually sort of hang in fairly well. You can just sort of strip them back normally and not have too much of a problem. But these ones seem to be sort of wandering off when I try and scrape them back, which isn't ideal. I am going to strip this one back slightly, just in case that isn't long enough for me to do anything with. And as you can see there, right, okay, so we should be okay there now with what we have stripped. So what we'll do is we'll put some flux down on this board, and then pop a little bit of solder down on here. So this is 6040 tin leaded solder. So this is your average sort of stuff that you'll find for this, leaded solder is what it's commonly termed as. So we're just going to stroke a bit of this down the pads, down the pins. And I'm just going to tin up these tiny bits as well that we've sort of stripped back down here. Just so there's a little bit of something on there when we come to rebuild this circuit. Right. So this is probably going to be, I would say fun, but I think that's probably going to be the wrong turn of phrase. Fun for all the wrong reasons, probably. So let's get the port in. Okay, so I've already cleared the holes of solder in advance of this. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to get some hot air at the back of this port, and I'm just going to work it round and push the thing down from the top. Just to solder these few pins that are present. So you can see there they go shiny. So this isn't going to solder them in completely, this is just going to sort of tack them in so I can go back over them. Just kind of need them to hold in place temporarily while I can go back over them later on. I just don't need them wobbling around and moving around while I'm trying to solder the rest of the port together. That would be a bit of a nightmare. Okay, so that should be alright. So if I get this port now and try and move it, yeah, it's going nowhere. That's good. So it's tacked into place. So that'll do nicely now while I can sort of get in here and just start to tin these bits up. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to tin these pads up with a little bit more solder. Okie doke. So I'm just going to go across here, get a coating of solder on each of these pins so that when we come to rebuild the ports and the pins, we should be okay. Alright, that'll do for now. So what I'm going to do now is, and this is where this shouldn't be too terrible really, this shouldn't be too bad. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do what I normally do with this, and for those of you who've seen me do PS4 HDMI ports, I do approach these in a slightly different manner. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tin a length of enamelled wire. Okay, so you can kind of see there. Okay, you can see I've tinned quite a bit of that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here now and I'm going to touch the end of that wire into the end of there. And then I'm going to come down here with a pair of tweezers. And I'm going to touch it in on the end of that trace there. Okay, just like that. Now I'm going to change the tip on this soldering iron to a slightly smaller tip because it's not exactly ideal for doing that kind of work. We do need something a little bit finer for that. So I'm just going to prepare this tip, make sure it's nice and clean. Right, so we should be okay there with that. So now what I can do is I can just take the end of this and wiggle it gently, because if you wiggle it too hard you're going to lift the rest of the trace out. So just gently back and forth, back and forth. You can kind of see there, look, it's wanting to come up. If it wants to come up, then it's just a case of being patient, touch it back in with the iron. Like I said, it's delicate work because the end of the trace it's connected to isn't brilliant. But we'll be securing that down with some solder mask once we've done this process. There we go. Sorted. And that's that, ladies and gentlemen, in a basket. So, or in a nutshell even. in a basket. So you can see there that we've got the pin soldered there, we've got a length of wire there that now goes down to this trace and out to the rest of the circuit. So that should be absolutely fine. Pin 2, pin 2 there, look, is already soldered. Pin 3 is there. It does look like it's broken, the end of that trace. So what I'm going to do with this is I'm just going to, you can kind of see it's right at the edge. I think actually when we've tinned it up, it is soldered down. But I'm just going to sort of put a little bit of pressure on the end just to try and solder the end of that tab to the end of its corresponding trace. Just going to check it with a multimeter to make sure that it is a complete circuit. So if we follow that down, straight line goes down to there to the top of that EMI filter. So if we go in here and I touch that pad, I could go in there actually, couldn't I? Make my life easy. And I touch the end of that, 0.7 ohms. Lovely. So you do have to be a little bit careful because, as I say, these pads, even though they're present, they are weak. Pardon me. You know, they're not secured into the board anymore. They are sort of up. They are free. They are sort of moving around slightly. So you do want to be careful. You don't want to put too much pressure on, because if you'll do, you'll just lift the pad straight out of the board, and then you'll be running wires again. So that's not particularly great, but you can see there, look, we've managed to sort of secure that tab, so that's okay. Pin 4 is down here, so you can see again, we need to run this signal wire down to this little pad here. So we'll do the same as what we did before, and I've just broken the end off my spool of wire, and I can't be bothered to find it, so I'm just going to nick another spool of wire where I can find the end of it. And I'll worry about finding the end of that one later. It's really, really fine stuff, so it's a total, if you lose the end of it, it's a total nightmare. So again, I'll just show you what I've done. So you can see I have stripped quite a length of wire there, which is exposed. Okay, I won't know too much about that, because like I said, this is all going to be enamel coated at the end of the process, so it's not going to matter too much. So we're just going to come in here, and again, I'm just going to touch wire and pin together, come down here, get it with the tweezers, because it's often easier than getting it with fingers, albeit I have fingers on it at the moment. Alright, that should be alright, providing the trace holds up. So again, just wiggle it very, very gradually, very gently. There we go. And you're good to go. So that's pin 4. Pin 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is ground anyway, but it is present. 6. Again, 6 is kind of broken, so you can see you've got the end of the tab there, and that's where the trace sits. So what I'm going to try and do here is, like I did with pin 2, was it? Pin 2? Oh, pin 3, wasn't it? Yeah, pin 3. Where we just kind of tacked it back on at the end of the trace. Looks good, but we'll test it to make sure. So that is the Fourth TMDS line on the end of EG8B6. So again, we'll put one probe down here, and then we'll put the other probe up here, and we'll touch it to the pin of the HDMI port. We do get a beep on the multimeter, 1 ohm drop in. Lovely, so that pin is present and correct. The next pin is that pin 7 is present and correct anyway, because that is here. Lovely jubbly, and it's nice and solid on there. The pad is moving in the board, but the pin is connected. It's ground anyway, but you know, it is solid enough for what we need it to do. And what are we on to now? This one here, aren't we? Pin 9. Okay, so I can kind of see the end of that trace there. Just tin it up. Make sure we're good to go on that one. We look it. Oops. Get you back in. Got quite a bit of this stripped, so I think we should be okay, but we'll just offer it up and make sure to begin with. Not going to leave ourselves short. We shouldn't. Yeah, we should be okay there, I think. So again, soldering iron comes in. Okay. Okay, should be fine. Again, providing the trace is up to the job. Don't wiggle it too hard. Don't wiggle it too hard. Okay. Should be okay. As I say, providing you don't wiggle it too hard, you should be okay. So that trace, as I say, is lifted from the board. It is, the end of it isn't in the board. You've got to be careful with stuff like that, because you can break it off. And if you do, it's not the end of the world, it's just more work. So you just end up having to run longer wires. And the thing is, because these traces are quite well spaced on this board, you can actually run them quite liberally in a way. Providing you don't have to go too far. So again, you can just test that by following it. So you have that there. You can see it comes down here. It's the second line into the top there of EG8B7 there. So it's the second line down. So you can put one probe on the bottom pin there, second one in, and then go from the HDMI pin up here. Again, 1 ohm and drop in. So we have continuity, which means we have a solid connection. What else we got? Next one, that one there. This pin here in the middle. That has been completely snapped out, and that doesn't look like we've got an awful lot of the trace exposed on that one. So I'm not entirely sure if the end of that's broken off, possibly. So we'll just see if we can't scrape a bit more of that trace back off. Okay, so we're just going to come in here and just put a little bit more solder down on the end of the trace there. It's better. Lovely jubbly. Okay, so we'll just put a bit more flux down on where we've just come from. Oops. Didn't quite need all that. Just quick clean up. There we go, that'll do. Okay, so let's get some more wire tinned. So as before, come in here. Tweezers. If I need it. Might be able to just shove this in place with the iron, possibly. Yeah, I think we'll be alright. Oh, bloody hell. What have I got on there? I'll sort that out in a minute. Entirely sure I've managed that. Not entirely sure what I've done there. How have I managed that? It's kind of hard to see on the camera as well. Oh, the bloody hell I've soldered that to. We'll have a look in a sec. See what we've managed to do. Right, okay, so I'm just going to clean this up. We'll just see what we've managed to do. Managed to wreck it somehow, haven't we? Not brilliant. Not my finest hour, that one. Okay. So let's just see what we've managed to do. And then we can look at fixing it up. I think I've pulled the wire down, haven't I? Looking at that. So the wire is here. Oh, it's still attached. Oh, it's still attached. There's the end of the trace there. Don't want to wiggle it around too much because I don't want to break this trace, but okay, so I think we've probably gotten away with that one. Let's just confirm that that is indeed the case. So I'll just put the multimeter probe on test point, and yeah, indeed we have. We've still got continuity. 1 ohm. And drop in, that's good. And let's see if we've managed to. Yeah, 1 ohm and dropping on the line we've just repaired. So we have pin 12 now. That's this one here onto this trace just here. So we'll get that in a sec. Right, well, we got lucky there. We nearly wrecked it. That just goes to show, you know, what you can do if you're not quite paying attention. You know, you can. It's quite easy to catch things because there isn't a lot of space. I know sometimes when you see it on the microscope camera and things like this, things look quite big, but when you get in front of them in person, you kind of see what I mean. It's quite easy to. catch things, particularly if you're, like I said, like me there, just not quite paying attention to what it is that you're doing. So I've tinned some more wire. Okay, we shouldn't need an awful lot to make this next run. So we should be alright. So I'm just going to, again, soldering iron leads are all tangled up. Brilliant. So I'm just going to come in here with the flux onto the necessary pin. Oops. Okay, that's on. And then we'll come in here with tweezers. Now then, because this is a short run, this might be a little bit awkward to get this down to the trace without reflowing the pads. You can tend to find that the wire will want to walk, which can be a little bit annoying, but I think we've kind of gotten away with that one. Might just need to drop a little bit more solder onto that pad. So onto the pad, onto that end of that trace there, just to secure this fully, but we'll see. Again, it's made awkward by the length. I could go slightly further down the trace, but I don't want to interfere with the pin next door, so okay, so that's that. Okay, that's pin 12. Pin 13, again, we can see there is next door. So again, same sort of carry on as before. Oops. Sorry about that. Okay, pin comes across, and we're just going to solder this. Just going to tack it down onto that trace. Again, we've still got flux on the board. Tack it down roughly. Gonna get a little bit of solder now. Onto here, feed it in. Preferably without buggering anything else up. Okay. Should be alright there, I think. As always, the proof is in the wiggling. So again, I'm just going to take this line and we're just going to wiggle it. Okay. Pin 14, obviously we don't need, so we're not worried about pin 14 at all. Pin 15 is the next. So pin 15, so that's pin 14. Pin 14 is here. Pin 15 is this one here. 16 there, 17, 18 and 19. Okay, so next wire. Pin 15. Yeah, they're not too bad to do once you get going on them, really. They're a pain in the backside if you're not used to this sort of work, though. They can be a real pain in the backside if you're not used to this kind of thing. Because it is slow, it is fiddly. It isn't particularly fun either, you know. It's like, well, I don't think it is. I don't know. Some people out there might quite enjoy it. enjoy it, but it's just so, I don't know. As I say, quite, oops, precise. Ow! Bloody hell, I've just burnt a hole through my glove. Ow, 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 ow. That tell you what, it was the heat. I haven't actually burnt myself. The glove saved me there. That was nearly a nasty one because I proper stabbed that through my glove. Ow. That hurt. Okay. Hoo-wee. Got away with one there. So, pin 16 is the one next door. So we can see that one there. Same as before. Same thing. Keep going. So pin 16 is there. Pop a little bit of solder on the end of this wire. But yeah, the secret is just to keep working with it. Don't get frustrated with it if you can help it, because that's when you make mistakes. And because there isn't an awful lot of room at the back of these HDMI ports, that's when, you know, you can start taking wires off the port, you know, the pins next door, and, you know, you can start to undo most of your good work. So you don't really want to do that. Trust me, we've all been there. Now then, where the chuff is that one? Okay. Okay, so with the end of the wire down there. Ah! God damn it. What the hell? I don't know, I've just burnt my finger on there. There was nothing there to burn my finger on, so I'm not entirely sure what I've... Oh, what have I done here? Soldering iron isn't... There we go. Oh! And I've managed to solder it to the pin next door. This is why I say don't get frustrated with it. Just give it a merry smile. I don't know why I'm struggling with this pin for some reason. Not entirely sure why. Okay, I think we're good there. Tweezers and the wiggle test will tell us if we have been successful. Yep, we're looking good. Okay, so remember 17 is ground. We've got ground pins already in situ, so we're not too worried about that. Pin 18, wasn't it? Pin 18 was the one that was broken on the end. That we weren't sure if we were going to actually be able to do anything with, but I think pin 18 is actually soldered to the end of that trace, which is, I think anyway, it looks like it's in situ. We'll test it in a sec, just to make doubly sure, but I think pin 18 is going to be good to go. So I'll just give it a nudge, just to make sure it is. Yeah, it's soldered. Yeah, that's fine. So if we come in here, Yeah, an ohm and dropping. So that's connected. So last pin. Last pin. Wow. Okay, so I'm just going to bend the wire there so it's a little bit straighter so I can attack it. There we go. And then I'm just going to put some pressure down on the end of here. Just to tack it into position. Should be okay. I'm just going to get some solder. Bring it in. Oh. Yeah, that was a little bit too much there, really. Right. That should be us done. That should be absolutely fine. So, there we go. We are, for all intents and purposes, rebuilt. So, we'll just put a little bit of IPA on there just to clean off the flux. And then we'll give this a test with a multimeter in a sec just to make sure we've not done anything really daft. But it looks good. It looks alright to me. So we'll just make sure that we have everything that we need and make sure that everything is where it needs to be, but it looks in good health. So what we're going to do, we're just going to do, like I say, a little bit of housekeeping. And to do that, we're just going to fill in these ground holes, as you can see. So I'm just going to move this scope camera up a little bit. So that's on the underside of the board, so we've just flipped it over. Oops. Knocking stuff off this tiny desk. And it's sort of crescent shaped as well, which it's a crescent shaped desk as well, just to make my life even harder. So you don't know where the edge is. It's underneath the mat. So you kind of put stuff down on the edge and it falls off, and then you go, it's over the edge. So what we'll do, as I say, we'll just anchor this in. Okay. So we can see, hopefully, top side. We have solder come through now, so those should be nicely anchored in place. So we should be all right, I think, there. So that's what we're dealing with. Everything looks really nice. So multimeter in position. And we'll go from pin 1. So pin 1 there goes to the... So when I'm talking about the EMI filters, pin 1, 2, 3 and 4, we have the first line here, second line here. Pin 3 here is ground. This is the third line of the fourth line. So we have TMDS 0, 1, 2 and 3. No, we don't. we have TMDS 0, 1, 2, and TMDS clock, if I remember rightly. So these first two pairs are 0, these two pairs are 1, these two pairs are 2, and these two pairs are clock. So I don't count this middle pin here because it's ground. So when I'm talking about a 1, 2, 3 is actually 4 and 4 is actually 5, because like I said, that middle pin there is ground. I don't count that. So all I'm doing is I'm putting one probe of the multimeter onto the bottom of these pins. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay. So first filter, pin 1. I always recommend touching the actual pin of the HDMI itself. Then you're not, then you've actually got a solid connection from the pin. Because obviously, if it isn't soldered properly, you're not going to get a solid connection. Pin 2. Okay. 3. Yeah. 4. 4 is that one there? Have we got the right one? 3, that one's ground, so yeah, that one's 4. Yeah. And then on to the next filter. Yeah, continuity is good. Yeah. And then onto the clock pair now. And why am I getting nothing there? Having said that, there is some crud. Which is probably stopping my meter probe from getting it properly. Just clean it off. Okay, try again. Yeah, that's good. And finally, yeah, we're good there. Okay, and then as I say, we have the bottom of here. So if I can just try and sneak that trace. And then down here, I think it goes to this very, very bottom resistor just here, right in this bottom right hand corner. Okay, and then down to this one, which comes into here. Yeah. And then we've got some exposed trace here, of course, because we scratched it back just in case we had to run the wire. Pin 18 and 19 comes all the way down here. I think you can just about sort of see the top of the resistor there that it connects to. Correct. It'll also just goop it all down, so it gives it a little bit of extra sort of toughness, if you like. And of course, it stops any exposed copper from rusting up in future. Because, as we all know, once these things are put in storage and they're kept in a fairly damp environment or something like that, you don't know, do you? Essentially, what happens is that any exposed copper will corrode, and we've seen on the channel before now videos of machines that we've repaired where that has been the case. So as we can see there now, that is done. And we're happy that everything should be good to go there now. So what we'll do is we will pop this board in a test chassis and we'll fire it up. Now it has been sent up board only, so it's going to have to go into a test chassis with a Duff hard drive. It's got a hard drive in it, but of course it's not going to be able to do anything. So it's literally going to appear on the screen to the troubleshooter, and that's as far as we'll be able to go on this one. But we'll put it in there, we'll see what it does, and see you in a sec. Okay, so here we go. So the board is in a test chassis at the moment. Just got a quick hard drive plugged in there with the basic OSU1 files on there. As you can see, the fan is spinning. And there we go. we're up and we're good. So that's as far as we can get, unfortunately, because without having the matching disk drive and stuff like that, then obviously we can't reinstall the OS onto this box because it'll just fall over. And of course, if we do go putting OSU1 on there and wiping the persistent settings and things, we might cause issues for the machine when it gets reassembled. So we're not going to do that. We're just going to leave it be for now. But as we can see, we do have an image, we do have a picture, everything's good, and this board is good to go back to the customer. So, of course, this is a business board that's been sent in, so their customer should be pretty happy when they get this back. So I don't know what happened to it, but as you can see, they decided they weren't going to do it, so it came here. Anyway, thanks again for watching, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully you found this useful and you found it interesting. If you have, then as always, please bosh a like down below. It's always very much appreciated. Yes, so of course, if you are into this sort of stuff, if you drop onto the channel with over 100 videos of fixing these sorts of things now, there'll be plenty of content on there that I'm sure you'll find interesting. Then of course, to keep abreast of any future videos, then of course hit that subscribe button and then ding the bell, and you'll be notified, of course, whenever any more content gets uploaded. And now that I know, when we left off last time, we were promising lots of PS5 stuff. Again, that is in the pipeline. I've been doing bits and pieces. I just need to get through these customer boxes, really, to be honest with you, and getting a lot of the stuff that I've got in here out of the way to actually enable me to properly crack on with that PS5 stuff. But it is coming, it is in the pipeline. I do have as well, as I say, I've been teasing for a while a product for PS4 HDMI ports. That is coming very, very shortly. In fact, I'm going to try and get that out this week if I can. Website is ready to rock and roll for any orders for that sort of stuff when I can get off my backside and get the video edited together that I need to do to get it out. But yeah, everything should be good to go, hopefully within the next couple of weeks on that one. So yes, by all means, ladies and gentlemen, feel free to pop a comment below. It's been good to get something out there for you again. Like I said, I am sorry it's not PS5 stuff at the moment, but that is coming. Like I said, I just need to clear some space and get some room in here to start doing stuff like that. Because at the moment, I mean, trying to work in here is just impossible. I am trying to find myself either a little unit or trying to find like create myself a little workspace or something in the garden to at least try and get myself out of here and try and get myself into somewhere where I can do some work. So thank you for watching, ladies and gentlemen. You've been brilliant as always. I've been Andy Paul. This Xbox has been a pain in the backside, but we got there eventually, and I'll see you on the next one in the not too distant future. So for me, for now, it's bye-bye. Stay safe, and I hope life treats you well. Many thanks for watching then, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video. If you have, then why not check out these recommendations below. Also, please remember to comment, rate, and of course subscribe to the channel if you found this useful. We've plenty more content on there, and there's lots more to come.